Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of your body against the surface beneath you. Now imagine that tonight, when you finally surrender to sleep, something extraordinary happens. Your consciousness doesn't simply shut down. It doesn't fade into nothingness. Instead, it slips free, like a bird released from a cage, and begins a journey that most people never remember. Edgar Cayce, America's most documented psychic, spent decades exploring this mystery. Through thousands of documented readings preserved in the ARE archives, he revealed something profound. Every single night, your soul leaves your physical body and travels to realms most can't even imagine. This isn't metaphor. This isn't poetry. According to Cayce, this is the hidden architecture of human existence, a nightly pilgrimage that shapes your healing, your relationships, your karma, and your spiritual evolution. Tonight, we're going to follow that journey, step by step, dimension by dimension. And if you've ever wondered why some mornings you wake up inexplicably exhausted, or why certain dreams feel more real than waking life, or why you sometimes sense the presence of someone you've lost, you're about to understand why. Mid-roll CTA, after major reveal. But before we go further into the borderlands between worlds, if this resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. These teachings deserve to be shared. Your engagement helps this knowledge reach those who need it most. Now, let's continue into the mystery. It begins in the moment between waking and sleep, that threshold where your thoughts start to dissolve, where the boundaries of your body seem to soften. You might feel a floating sensation, a gentle pull. Some people describe it as sinking, others as rising, but what's actually happening is far more precise. Edgar Cayce called it the loosening of the silver cord, an energetic tether that connects your physical body to your soul. In one documented case preserved in the ARE archives, a woman reported feeling herself rise above her bed and seeing her own body below, breathing peacefully. She panicked at first, thinking she had died, but then she noticed the shimmering thread of light connecting her spiritual form to her physical one. That thread, Cayce explained, is your lifeline. As long as it remains intact, you can travel freely and return safely. This separation happens every night. Most people simply don't remember it. The physical brain, busy with its restorative processes, doesn't always encode these journeys into conscious memory. But the soul remembers. Deep within your being, there's a record of every place you've been, every encounter you've had, every lesson you've absorbed while your body rested. The first moments of separation are delicate. Cayce warned that fear can pull you back instantly. If you become aware during this transition and resist it, your consciousness snaps back into the body like a rubber band. This is why many mystical traditions teach surrender, trust, the willingness to let go, because the soul knows the way. It has made this journey thousands of times before. And as you drift beyond the familiar boundaries of your bedroom, beyond the known geography of the physical world, you enter what Cayce called the borderland, a threshold region where the material and spiritual worlds overlap. Here, the first encounters begin. The borderland is not one place. It's a frequency, a vibrational layer that exists just beyond physical reality. Imagine it as a vast twilight landscape where thought becomes form almost instantly, where your expectations shape what you perceive, where the symbolic and the literal blur together. In the ARE archives, there are countless accounts of people meeting loved ones in this space. A grieving father reported seeing his deceased daughter in a garden of extraordinary beauty. She looked young, radiant, and at peace. She told him things only she could know, small, intimate details from their shared life. When he woke, he felt a profound sense of relief. The pain didn't vanish, but something had shifted. He knew with a certainty beyond logic that she still existed, that love was not severed by death. Cayce confirmed this again and again. The borderland is where souls in different states of existence can communicate. Your loved ones who have passed often wait in this space, hoping you'll remember the visit when you wake. They may offer comfort, guidance, reassurance that they're okay. But the borderland is also populated by other presences. Some of these are helpers, guides, beings of light who assist souls in transition. Cayce described them as guardians of the threshold, entities who help orient newly arriving souls and protect those who are simply passing through during sleep. If you've ever felt a protective presence during a difficult time or sensed an invisible hand guiding you away from danger, it may have been one of these helpers working from the borderland. But not all encounters here are benevolent. Cayce was clear about this. The lower astral regions, the denser vibrational layers of the borderland, are inhabited by confused, earthbound souls. Some died suddenly and don't realize they're no longer physical. Others are trapped by their own attachments, addictions, or unresolved anger. These entities can appear in dreams as chaotic figures, threatening presences, or even familiar faces distorted into something frightening. In one documented reading, Cayce advised a woman who kept having nightmares of being chased. He explained that she was encountering a lost soul who was drawn to her light. His prescription was simple but powerful. Before sleep, surround yourself in white light. Call upon the Christ consciousness. Affirm your protection. The nightmares stopped within days. This is why preparation matters. The borderland reflects your inner state. If you approach it with fear, you attract fear. If you approach it with love and spiritual alignment, you move through it quickly, ascending to higher dimensions where the real work begins. Beyond the borderland lies something extraordinary, a realm that Cayce referred to as the Hall of Records, though it's not a building in any earthly sense. It's a living field of consciousness, a repository of every thought, action, and intention ever expressed by every soul that has ever lived. Some spiritual traditions call it the Akashic Records, a cosmic library written in light. During deep sleep, when the soul is free and the silver cord stretches into these higher dimensions, you gain access to this knowledge, not in a way that the conscious mind can always translate, but in a way that transforms you nonetheless. Cayce believed this is where true healing originates, not in doctors' offices, not in pills, but in the soul's encounter with its own blueprint. He documented cases of people receiving healing instructions during sleep. One man, suffering from a chronic digestive condition that baffled his physicians, had a vivid dream. In it, he stood before a glowing book. Pages turned on their own, revealing a diet plan and a series of exercises tailored specifically to his body. When he woke, he remembered every detail. He followed the guidance. Within weeks, his symptoms began to resolve. Cayce explained it this way: in the Hall of Records, your soul reviews the choices that led to illness. It sees the emotional patterns, the unspoken grief, the suppressed anger, and it also sees the path back to wholeness. Sometimes this knowledge comes through as symbolic dreams, other times as intuitive hunches that arise the next day, a sudden urge to change your diet, a feeling that you need to forgive someone, a pull toward a specific healer or practice. But the Hall of Records offers more than physical healing. Here, your soul also reviews its karmic lessons. You see the threads connecting this lifetime to previous ones, the relationships that have repeated across centuries, the debts you owe, the gifts you've been given. This isn't judgment, it's clarity. It's understanding the larger pattern so you can make wiser choices while awake. In one reading, Cayce described a woman who kept attracting unavailable partners. In her nightly journeys to the Hall of Records, she was shown a past life where she had abandoned someone she loved out of fear. The karmic residue of that choice was still playing out. Once she understood this, she could begin the work of forgiveness, both of herself and others. Her relationships began to shift almost immediately. This is the sacred function of sleep. It's not just rest, it's recalibration. It's the soul going to school, reviewing lessons, receiving downloads of wisdom that the waking mind will gradually integrate. And as you absorb this knowledge, you rise even higher. There are realms beyond the Hall of Records that few can consciously access, dimensions of such high frequency that earthly language fails. Cayce spoke of them rarely, and when he did, his descriptions were poetic and symbolic. He called them the planes of creative force, where souls commune with what he termed the Christ consciousness, or the universal mind. Imagine a light so bright it contains all colors, a sound so pure it resonates with every cell of your being. In these dimensions, individuality and unity exist simultaneously. You are still yourself, yet you're also aware of your oneness with all creation. Time, as you understand it, dissolves. Past, present, and future converge into a single eternal now. Cayce believed that advanced souls, those who have walked the earth many times and learned their lessons well, spend their nightly journeys in these higher realms. They serve as co-creators. They work alongside angelic beings and ascended masters to hold the vibrational patterns that sustain life across the cosmos. This might sound grandiose, but Cayce was matter-of-fact about it. Your soul, he said, is far more powerful and far more ancient than your personality realizes. In one particularly striking reading, Cayce described a man who dreamed of floating in an ocean of stars. Each star was a soul. Each soul was singing, and together their song held the universe in place. The man woke feeling an overwhelming sense of purpose, though he couldn't articulate what it was. Cayce explained that he had briefly touched the dimension of service, where enlightened souls work to maintain the spiritual infrastructure of existence. Not everyone reaches these heights every night. Most souls cycle through the borderland and the Hall of Records, doing the personal work that needs doing, but the potential is always there, and on rare occasions, even ordinary people, burdened by daily worries, caught in the struggles of material life, will suddenly find themselves lifted into these transcendent spaces. When they return, they're changed. They can't go back to seeing the world the same way. These are the experiences that mystics across cultures have tried to describe. The unified field, the ground of being, the clear light. It's not reserved for saints. It's your birthright. Every soul makes this journey eventually, whether in sleep or in death. The only difference is timing, but every journey must end, or rather it must pause, because as dawn approaches, the silver cord begins to gently pull your consciousness back. The higher dimensions fade. The Hall of Records recedes. The borderland appears once more, and then, like a diver surfacing from the ocean's depths, you re-enter your physical body. This return is as crucial as the departure. Cayce warned that waking up too abruptly through alarm clocks, sudden noises, or shock can disorient the soul. You felt this before, those mornings when you wake feeling exhausted, even though you slept for hours. That's often because your soul was in the middle of important work and was yanked back before the integration was complete. The veil of forgetting descends almost immediately. The conscious mind, tethered to the brain's neurology, can't hold the full scope of what your soul experienced, so most of it slips away like water through your fingers. You might retain fragments, a feeling, a symbol, a face, but the vast majority of the journey is stored in your subconscious, influencing you in ways you'll never directly perceive. This is why Cayce emphasized dream journaling. The act of writing, immediately upon waking, captures the residue before it evaporates. Over time, patterns emerge. You start to recognize recurring symbols, places, and figures. You begin to decode the language your soul uses to communicate with your waking self. In one case, a woman kept dreaming of a specific red door. Night after night, she would stand before it, but never open it. Cayce's reading revealed that the door represented an opportunity in her waking life, one she was afraid to pursue. Once she understood this, she made the choice to walk through that metaphorical door. The dreams stopped. The opportunity manifested. But even if you don't remember, the journey still happens. The healing still occurs. The karmic adjustments still take place. Your soul is doing the work, whether your personality is aware of it or not. This is the great mercy of the nightly journey. You don't have to be spiritually advanced to benefit from it. You don't have to meditate for hours or master esoteric practices. You just have to sleep. And your soul, ancient and wise, does the rest. Yet there's something even more profound hidden in this cycle. Something about why we forget. Because the veil isn't a mistake. It's a design feature. If the soul's nightly journey is so important, why don't we remember it? Why does the veil exist at all? Cayce's answer to this is both simple and startling. If you remembered everything, you couldn't function here. Imagine trying to live a human life while simultaneously aware of all your past lives, all your karmic debts, all the higher dimensions and their overwhelming beauty. You'd be paralyzed. The human experience requires focus. It requires the illusion of separation so that you can fully engage with the lessons this particular lifetime offers. The veil is a mercy. It allows you to learn through experience rather than memory. It lets you discover compassion without knowing every time you failed to show it in a past life. It lets you pursue love without the weight of every heartbreak you've carried across centuries. The forgetting creates the space for genuine growth. But the veil is also permeable. It's not meant to be absolute. Cayce believed that as you evolve spiritually, the veil thins. You start to remember more. Dreams become more vivid. Intuitions sharpen. You sense the connections between your nightly journeys and your daily life. You begin to live as a bridge between worlds. This is the ultimate goal, not to escape the physical world, but to bring the wisdom of the spiritual realms into it, to become a conscious co-creator, to live with one foot in matter and one in spirit. Cayce called this state soul attunement, a harmonious alignment between your earthly personality and your eternal essence. And there's a practical aspect to this as well. The more you honor your soul's journey, the more you can work with it intentionally. Through meditation, prayer, and conscious dreaming practices, you can begin to influence where you go and what you do while your body sleeps. You can set intentions before bed. You can ask for healing. You can request guidance on specific questions. And your soul will respond because it's always listening. In one reading, Cayce advised a man to repeat a simple affirmation before sleep. I seek wisdom for the highest good of all. Within a week, the man began having dreams filled with practical solutions to problems he'd been struggling with for months. The answers had always been available. He just needed to ask. So the forgetting isn't failure. It's part of the design. And the remembering isn't about recovering every detail. It's about waking up to the larger truth. You are not just a body living a short life. You are a soul on an eternal journey, and sleep is your vehicle. But there's one more thing you need to know. Because while the soul's nightly journey is sacred, it's not without risk. Just as you wouldn't walk through a dangerous neighborhood unprepared, you shouldn't enter the spiritual dimensions without proper protection. Cayce repeatedly warned about the lower astral regions. We touched on this earlier, but it's worth emphasizing. These are real spaces inhabited by real entities, and they can affect you. not in dramatic Hollywood horror movie ways, but subtly, draining your energy, amplifying your fears, planting seeds of doubt or confusion. One woman came to Cayce complaining of relentless nightmares. She kept dreaming of dark figures standing at the foot of her bed, watching her. She'd wake up terrified, unable to shake the feeling that something malevolent was in her home. Cayce's reading revealed that she was encountering earthbound spirits, souls who had died but remained attached to her property, possibly from a previous era. His solution was both spiritual and practical. He instructed her to cleanse her space with prayer and intention, to visualize white light filling every room, to call upon higher spiritual protection before sleep, and most importantly, to release any fear, because fear is what these entities feed on. She followed his guidance. The nightmares ceased. This isn't superstition. Cayce understood energy and vibration. He knew that consciousness exists on a spectrum, and that your mental and emotional state determines where on that spectrum you vibrate. If you go to bed angry, anxious, or filled with negative thoughts, you're more likely to attract correspondingly negative experiences in the borderland. So how do you prepare? Cayce's recommendations were simple. Create a bedtime ritual, something that signals to your soul that you're entering sacred time. This could be prayer, meditation, reading uplifting material, or simply sitting in silence for a few minutes. The content matters less than the intention. You're setting the vibrational tone for your journey. Surround yourself in light. Visualize a protective sphere of white or golden light enveloping your body. Affirm your alignment with the highest good. You can call upon your spiritual guides, your higher self, or whatever divine presence resonates with you. The words don't have to be perfect. The sincerity matters. Release the day. Let go of grudges, worries, and unfinished business. Forgive where you can. If something is weighing on you, write it down and set it aside. Tell yourself, I release this for now. I will address it tomorrow if needed. This clears your energetic field so you're not carrying heavy baggage into the spiritual realms. Set an intention. As you drift toward sleep, gently focus your mind on what you'd like to receive. Healing, guidance, a visit with a loved one. The soul listens. It will do its best to honor your request, though not always in the way you expect. These practices don't take long. 10 minutes before bed can transform your nightly experience, and over time, they become second nature. You'll find yourself naturally aligning with higher frequencies, and your dreams will reflect that shift. Here's the truth that Edgar Cayce spent his life trying to communicate. You don't need him. You don't need this video. You don't need any teacher or guide, because your soul already knows everything we've discussed. It's been making this journey since before you were born into this body, and it will continue long after this lifetime ends. What you need is remembering, not memory in the ordinary sense, but the deep soul-level recognition that you are more than flesh and bone, that your existence isn't confined to the brief flicker of a human lifetime, that every night you touch eternity. Cayce never wanted people to follow him blindly. He wanted them to awaken to their own spiritual authority, to realize that the answers they seek aren't in books or teachings, but in the depths of their own being. The nightly journey is your direct line to that wisdom. No intermediaries required. In his final years, Cayce often said that the greatest reading he ever gave was the one where he told someone, "You are the universe in miniature. Everything you seek is already within you." This is the essence of his work. Not to create dependency, but to point you back to yourself. So what does this mean for you practically? It means that tonight, when you go to sleep, you're not just shutting down, you're opening up. You're embarking on a sacred pilgrimage that your ancestors have taken, that mystics have celebrated, that children instinctively understand before the world teaches them to forget. Your dreams matter. Your intuitions matter. The strange synchronicities that happen after a particularly vivid dream, they matter, because they're echoes of the work your soul is doing in realms you can't consciously perceive. And the more you honor this, the more the veil thins. You might start noticing patterns, dreams that come true, intuitive hits that prove accurate, a growing sense of connection to something larger than yourself. These aren't miracles. They're the natural result of aligning with your soul's journey. And if you're grieving someone you've lost, take comfort in this. They're not gone. They're just traveling in dimensions you can't yet fully access while awake. But every night, in the borderland or beyond, there's a chance for connection, for healing, for love that transcends death. This is Cayce's gift, not a new religion or a rigid set of rules, but a map, a reminder, an invitation to reclaim the sacred nature of sleep and to recognize yourself as the eternal being you truly are. So tonight, as you lay down to rest, remember this: you are not alone. Your soul is ancient, wise, and deeply loved. The journey you're about to take is one you've taken countless times before, and you'll take it countless times again. Each crossing of the threshold is an opportunity for healing, for growth, for reunion with the highest aspects of yourself. Edgar Cayce's readings are preserved. The ARE continues his work, but the real archive is written in your own consciousness. The real records are kept in your soul. And every morning when you wake and the veil descends once more, you carry back more than you realize. You carry the light of other dimensions, the wisdom of the Hall of Records, the love of those who watch over you from beyond the borderland. And slowly, lifetime after lifetime, night after night, you're becoming what you've always been, a bridge between worlds, a traveler of infinite realms, a soul remembering itself. If this resonates with you, I invite you to share your experience. Have you ever had a dream that felt more real than waking life? Have you sensed the presence of a loved one who has passed? Have you woken with knowledge you didn't have before? Your story matters. Your journey matters. And by sharing it, you help others remember their own. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to continue this exploration. And most importantly, honor your sleep as the sacred practice it truly is. Because you are not just dreaming, you are traveling, you are learning, you are healing, and your soul already knows the way home.